Do you always feel exhausted? Kind of like all of your days are starting to melt together, your endless to-do list is making you feel hopeless and overwhelmed, and you just can't seem to find the motivation or energy to do any of the activities that you usually do. Well, my friend, I'm sorry to tell you, but I think you might be burning out. Oftentimes people think that burnout only happens to those individuals who hold super extreme, super intense, and high pressure jobs such as doctors or lawyers or firefighters. But the truth is, 77% of the working population has actually experienced burnout at least once just in their current job. So how do you avoid burnout? The answer is in this book, Burnout: The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle by Emily and Amelia Nagoski. And the secret is pretty simple. It's to create an ideal weekly schedule that is scientifically proven to help us manage stress and also reduce the likelihood of burning out. I promise it's possible even if you work 3 jobs like I do, and it is going to absolutely change your life. Welcome to another episode of Book Club, the series where I read books and teach you everything that I learn from them. Okay, so what needs to go into an ideal burnout combating schedule? There are 5 categories of tasks and strategies that you need to schedule in every single week that's really going to help you recharge. The first is sleep and rest. Sleep and rest should actually take up 42% of your schedule, which is about 10 hours out of your 24-hour day, which seems like a lot, but I promise you it really isn't. So sleep and rest are counted as 2 separate things here. Your sleep schedule should look like the same time block of 7 to 9 hours every single day, including weekends, but you can kind of include naps or longer sleep times to make up for any deficits that you may have. There's this culture hustle mindset that says sleep is for the weak. Who needs sleep anyways? I'll sleep when I'm dead. But sleep is actually a crucial part of the formula to being a high-performing, super productive human being. When you sleep, your body is actually repairing itself and getting stronger, and your brain is actually consolidating any new information you learned and integrating them into existing knowledge. Not only is this helping you learn quicker and more deeply, but it's actually improving your hand-eye coordination, your memory, your decision-making processes. It's essentially making you a better human being. Then there is rest, which is when you stop using the parts of you that are worn out and beat down and actually allow it to renew itself. Our brains actually has this unique function called the default mode network, which turns on when we are not actively focused on a task. This network is actually constantly evaluating our present state and planning for the future, and it's a critical tool that we should be taking advantage of more. It's actually a myth that you can use grit and self-control to stay productive and stay focused every single minute of the day. You may feel like you are accomplishing a lot, but your body and your brain is actually slowly shutting down throughout the day, making your thinking processes less sharp and less useful. So when you're looking at scheduling rest into your ideal weekly schedule, you can look at active rest and passive rest. Passive rest is when you are doing stuff like laundry, watching a YouTube video, eating a meal, getting unready, getting ready, taking a shower. And active rest would be where you're refocusing away to the task that you're trying to accomplish and do something else that actually still engages your brain. So like learning, reading, or focusing on a less intensive task. Both are really important because you can use active rest to accomplish some smaller tasks throughout the day, but then you need passive rest to tap into that default mode network to help us plan and help us consolidate information. So really, your ideal weekly schedule should look like 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single day, and then intentionally scheduling in 1 to 3 hours of both active and passive rest. If you're building out your ideal week with me as we go through the video, remember to color code your sleep and your rest under one color so that you can see these are the times that you are dedicating to this thing. The next thing that we need to schedule in is time for connection. Social connection is actually a form of nourishment for humans, just like how food is. Connection actually nourishes us in a literal and physiological way, helping us regulate our heart rate, our respiration rate. It influences the emotional activations in our brain. It shifts our immune systems to be aware of injuries or wounds. And it completely changes our exposures to stressors, helping us modulate our stress responses. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is that connection is actually another crucial part to us being a badass, productive human being. Besides just helping us regulate our emotions, having positive connections in our lives actually helps to energize and motivate us as well. And it's a method of recharging our battery so that we can actually get back to tackling those bigger goals and tasks. There's this quote that's always stuck with me, and it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So in order to make sure that we are actually able to achieve all of our ambitious dreams, we need to make sure that we are making time for connection every single week. So what this could actually look like in your ideal weekly schedule is scheduling in 30 minutes a day for stress-reducing conversations. This could be over text, over phone call, or in person, but just making sure that you are doing at least 30 minutes of connecting with someone that matters to you really is going to help you mentally recharge. Again, make sure you color code this so that you know what activities you're scheduling into your day that meets your connection needs. The third thing that we need to have in our schedule are time blocks that help us find meaning and feel fulfillment. Having meaning or a greater purpose to our lives doesn't just make us feel good, but it actually helps us thrive more when things are going well and cope better when things aren't going so well. Really having a why or a purpose that's greater than us is going to be that guiding point that makes the rest of our lives and everything we do feel really cohesive. When the things that you do aren't aligning with your values, your goals, or your ambitions, it can cause massive cognitive dissonance, making you feel like everything is much harder and much tougher to get through. So when you're looking to identify what your purpose or your meaning is, it can typically come from three sources. It can come from the pursuit or achievement of ambitious goals that leave a legacy. It can come from some sort of a service to a divine or spiritual calling, or it can come from loving, emotional, and intimate connections with others. Although there's actually no predictable way or formula that helps everyone find their purpose or meaning, it's often something that we already know deep down and is just waiting for us to be discovered. So that's also another reason why it's really important to schedule in the time for you to find those things and explore those areas of your life, because if you don't make time for it, you're never going to achieve it. For me personally, one of the larger purposes that really drives me is being able to learn a lot of different new things and then sharing them with people so that people who talk to me or watch my content or read my blogs can learn something new about bettering themselves or growing in their career. So the things that I schedule into my calendar that are fulfilling and that help me find meaning are things like reading and taking courses and learning, or even reviewing and practicing the things that I have learned. This is definitely going to look different for everybody. So have a think about what your values are, what things truly bring you joy, and what mark you're hoping to leave in the world, to try to pinpoint a few small tasks that you can start with that's going to help you find your bigger purpose. So our schedule now should have 3 different color categories. The last thing that we need to schedule in is something that's going to help us complete the stress cycle. One of the most important things that I've learned from the book is that there's a difference between dealing with the stressor and dealing with your stress. AKA, even if you remove the stressor in your life, it doesn't necessarily mean that your body and mind knows that the stress is no longer there. There's an example that she gives in the book that compares you dealing with something stressful with you running away from a lion that's trying to eat you. So you know that the lion's trying to eat you, it's obviously the stressor, and so you're running for your life. However, a hunter quickly comes and saves you and kills the lion. So technically, now that the lion is dead, you should no longer feel the stress. But that's actually not how your body and brain works. Just because the stressor is gone doesn't mean the feeling of stress of that fight or flight response goes away on its own. I know we probably often hear about the fight or flight response, but there's actually a third stress response that fits into that category as well. So there is fight, which typically is associated with feelings of annoyance, irritation, frustration, and anger. Then there is flight, which is typically associated with feelings like uncertainty, anxiety, fear, and worry. And then there is the third one, which is freeze, which is typically associated with feelings of numbness, of disconnection, and dissociation. So just like the lion example, when you leave work, you actually haven't left your stress behind. It follows you and it actually compounds over time. So Emily and Amelia have found 7 methods that are science-backed and proven to help you complete the stress cycle so that you no longer are carrying those feelings of stress. The most effective and the first strategy I'll mention is physical activity. When we're able to physically release those feelings of stress, as well as get that lovely feel-good hormone hit of dopamine, it actually instantly resets our stress cycle. However, physical activity probably isn't accessible to everyone at any point of the day. So some other strategies that also can help with closing your stress cycle are deep breathing, which helps to downregulate your stress response, positive social interactions, because it reassures your brain that the world is a safe and sane place and that not all people suck, laughter, but like a really good deep belly laugh that you can get from a good friend or watching a funny movie, affection, but it typically has to come from somebody that you are close with and that you trust. She actually mentions the 22-second hug, which is proven to help you change your hormones, lower your blood pressure and your heart rate, and just generally improve your mood. If you're gonna do the 22-second hug though, I would sometimes just preface beforehand and say, hey, I'm about to hug you for a really long time, because you don't want to be in a situation where your friend is like holding on and wondering why you're just clutching her for dear life. You can also have a big ol' cry, which really is another scientifically proven cathartic method to help you release your stress feelings. And lastly, you can engage in some sort of a creative expression, which doesn't just help you regulate your emotions, but also helps to re-energize you and refuel you as well. Now, I'm not saying that you have to schedule in all 7 of those things every single day, but you should put a 30-minute time block into each and every single day so that you are making sure that you are doing something every day that's going to help you complete the stress cycle. You don't have to work out 7 days a week. You don't have to cry 7 days a week, but try to bring a variety of those things into your week so that you're never left in a spot where the stress has just compounded over time, because stress can actually stay in your body for weeks, if not years, which is why you need to make prioritizing all of these things a priority, because your life literally depends on it. One of the quotes that I absolutely love from the book said that wellness is not a state of being, but it's a state of action, which is why it's so important to first schedule in all of these strategies and tasks before you actually go in and schedule in your work. So now that you have your beautiful color-coded plan to avoiding burnout, now you can actually go in and put in all of those reoccurring things that happen in your week, such as work, taking care of the kids, taking care of your dog, school, studying. And I know this probably feels like a really backwards way of looking at your calendar, because typically we schedule the most important things in first, like work, like school, like taking care of your kids. But the reason it actually works better to schedule in those stress fighting strategies first is because those things are what's going to give you more energy and more focus to complete your work, your studying, your school, and to be able to show up for your kids or your dog or your partner. I absolutely live by the motto of you cannot fill anyone else's cup with an empty cup, and you have to fill your cup first. And I think that the ideal weekly schedule in this book is the perfect framework for you to make sure that your cup is filled so that you can be the most badass, productive, high-performing, loving human being ever. To summarize some of the key points, just because you've dealt with the stressor doesn't mean that you've dealt with the stress, But on the flip side, you actually don't need to deal with the stressor first before you can start dealing with your stress. AKA, you don't need to wait for the world to be better in order to make your life better. The ultimate goal and focus to understand here is that by making your life better first, it's actually what's going to give you the capacity to make the world better. If you enjoyed this video, you should check out this video next, where we deep dive into how you can build a 90-day plan that's going to change your life. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I hope you're having an amazing day wherever you're in the world, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!